Wonderful. Well, please rise in body or spirit and let us sing our opening hymn, number 1059, in the Teal Hymnal. May your life be as a song. That it has little reminders for the microphone. That's helpful. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. My name is Jenny Warren. My pronouns are they, she, and I serve this congregation today as the worship associate. Our lives intersect and intertwine. It is a wonder and a mystery that our paths have crossed, that in the immensity of time, in the vastness of space, we coincide here. I am in awe at the ways in which our lives intersect and intertwine, at the beauty we create when we gather. May our coming together make us more compassionate, more just, more caring, and more loving. May our hearts and minds be open to this offering. I am so glad that you are here. Let us worship. Let us marvel at the miracle of being here right now and the mystery that has brought us all together. By Tanya E. Marquez. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Sanctuary, where you can be all of who you are. Words are hard. I'm on winter break, y'all, so. And where the presence of your full self will be welcomed and affirmed. Good morning. I'm Heather Norby. I'm the Spiritual Life Director for this fantastic congregation. Welcome to the last Sunday of December. All right. Almost to a new year. Well, in order to build this community, we need love plus connection, and that will lead to spiritual and ethical transformation. This is your community, and so we ask that you please be an active part of it by joining us in the following activities and events. This will be Tuesday, is New Year's Eve, and Ambra will be holding a fire on the patio. There will be food and friendship, and it's a great way to bring the new year in together, so please join Ambra at 6:30 this evening. Of course, you are welcome to come in early. Not this evening. 6:30 on New Year's Eve. Yeah, we're just going to start the party now. Okay. Tuesday evening, and feel free to come in early to help Ambra set up and get ready. And if you have any questions, Ambra's over there. Please feel free to ask her. Next Sunday after service, we will be having our first social justice meeting of the new year with our committee chair, Sherry. It'll be her first social justice meeting. Yay, thank you, Sherry. So we will be organizing for the MLK Parade, which we've been marching in for years. This year we're marching with the Interfaith Coalition of Polk County, so we'll get some thoughts together on that, and we'll also begin looking at the UU Climate Justice Revival and maybe engaging in some of that dialogue. Okay, January 4th is a Saturday, and it is a work day. Buildings and Grounds is asking everybody to come on out, bring your water bottles, wear your closed-toe shoes, and help them do some tasks around to keep our buildings and grounds beautiful. And if you have questions, Ken and Dorothy are here today, so you can ask them. The MLK Parade is January 18th. That is a Saturday. So please keep that open on your calendars and come march with us. Friday, January 24th, here in the sanctuary at 7 p.m., there will be a performance by a band called Twisted Pine. I've not heard them yet, but they are called Progressive Bluegrass, and NPR dubbed them a band to watch. And they're being brought here by Crystal and Tom Norman, and because of their generosity, we are able to hold this as a UUCL fundraiser. Tickets are $20, and I think it'll be a very exciting night, so please join us on January 24th. And we are holding a brick fundraiser. Gail's not here. She did have some pamphlets, and also they're available in the newsletter. If you go to the newsletter and click on the link, you can go to the website to buy a brick. It has your name on it, and it'll be out on the path that leads up to the front door. So you will be remembered always by this community. So please go to our newsletter and check that out. And I would also like to say thank you to Jenny and Nikki for helping to create today's worship service. I love it when lay leaders are enthusiastic about something and they want to bring it to all of you. That not only gives me a little bit of a break, but most of all, it makes others' voices heard. And it really reflects the pluralism, the diversity, and the enthusiasm that we have as a congregation. And so thank you all for coming to see what Jenny and Nikki have in store for us today. And with that, we will light our chalice. Donna will come forward. Donna Roberts will come forward and light the chalice. I skipped a page, sorry.
There we go. A Spark of Hope by Melanie Davis. If ever there were a time for a candle in the darkness, this would be it. Using a spark of hope, kindle the flame of love, ignite the light of peace, and feed the flame of justice. Please rise in body or spirit, and let us sing Spirit of Life, hymn 123.
And would the children like to come forward for our moment for all ages? Jenny has a story for you today. It's not the one that's in your order of service. We'll do that one next week. It's okay. This is a good one too. In fact, this is an excellent one.
This one really came in on the clutch. I have the same dinosaur. I have the same dinosaur.
All right, so today we are going to read We Are Water Protectors by Carol Lindstrom and illustrated by Michaela Goad. I'm very excited. Water is the first medicine, Nokomis told me. We came from water. It nourished us inside our mother's body as it nourishes us here on Mother Earth. Water is sacred, she said. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. The river's rhythm runs through my veins, runs through my people's veins. My people talk of a black snake that will destroy the land. Spoil the water, poison plants and animals, wrecking everything in its path. When my people first spoke of the black snake, they foretold that it wouldn't come for many, many years. She's just finding a comfy spot to be. Now the black snake is here. Its venom burns the land, courses through the water, making it unfit to drink. Take courage. I must keep the black snake away from my villagers' water. I must rally my people together to stand for the water, to stand for the land, to stand as one against the black snake. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. It will not be easy. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. The winged ones, the crawling ones, the four-legged, the two-legged, the plants, trees, rivers, and lakes. The earth. We are all related. Tears like waterfalls stream down, tracks down my face, tracks down my people's faces. Water has its own spirit, Nakomi's told me. Water is alive. Water remembers our ancestors who came before us, she said. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. We are stewards of the earth. Our spirits have not been broken. We are water protectors. We stand. The black snake is in for the fight of its life. Did we like the story?
Yes.
I love it. I love the enthusiasm.
I have a question. What's the black snake?
Yeah.
Bella?
Mm-hmm.
Pollution, yeah. What else is happening to the water? Do you know, out in like the Dakotas and on or Native American reservations? Oh, do you know? Dakota? Trash? Uh-huh. Okay, gasoline, yeah. Oil and oil spills, yeah. Salt? Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, there's salt in the ocean.
There is salt in the ocean. We don't want it in our drinking water necessarily, do we? No. Do you like drinking ocean water? Ugh. No. Yeah, so the black snake is the pollution from the oil and icky. And it's polluting their waters. Ugh. So what are they doing? Are they just sitting by letting their waters get polluted? No, what are they doing?
They're pitting chemicals so other creatures don't get in there.
They're protecting the other creatures? Yeah, they're coming together?
Yeah.
Standing together? Protecting the other creatures and themselves, yes? Do you think that's a good idea? Yeah, I think so. All right. Are we ready?
Yes, we are.
I mean, I don't want to okay. Okay, good.
Just read the story.
Okay, good. Okay. All right. Well, you're welcome to go out. Do you want to drop a stone in? Okay. While Jenny lights our healing candle, let us just call on the Spirit of life and love to give us the strength that we need to come together to protect creatures that cannot protect themselves, to protect people that cannot protect themselves, and also to protect ourselves and each other here in this room. There is strength in our coming together, and that, of course, is an incredibly healing thought. Our quote for this month was written by Mason Kipp. At the end of the day, do others feel loved in your presence? This is the spiritual bottom line. As it's the last Sunday of December and the last Sunday that we'll be reflecting upon those words, I hope you've all been thinking about that throughout the month and have grown in the ways that you know how to help others feel loved in your presence. And now for our ritual of the sharing of joys, concerns, and sorrows. This ritual embodies the belief that there is power in being together and loving one another in the present moment. In our Joys and Sorrows book, you are able to write any significant joy or sorrow occurring in your life that you would like for the congregation to know. So let me read from it now. I know on Christmas Eve, and we didn't do Joys and Sorrows on Christmas Eve, and so I'm sharing it now. This is for Sun, who visited us on Christmas Eve. And someone was asking for good thoughts that she can sell her home and move because her husband has recently passed away. And just to keep her in our prayers and our thoughts for her on her journey. Today, Nancy and Tom are joyful that they are celebrating their 35th anniversary tomorrow. Let's see. Oh, and Linda Case shares with us that she's very grateful to be alive and healthy today and every day. And that's because she had a scary incident last night. Well, Linda, we're very thankful to have you here with us today. Our joy from Donna and Tom Roberts. Our joy is the wonderful music we get to experience each week. A huge thank you. Yes, a huge thank you. And a joy from Nick. Today is Nick's 30th birthday. All right. And Jen is asking for strength to make it through a couple of endeavors, physical and relational, that she's dealing with an impinged sciatic nerve and has been for several weeks, and there's almost no position where she can find comfort. Also, working through the pain takes all my mental energy, and the next step is an MRI. So, Jen, we will keep you in our thoughts as you figure that out and get some answers. Thank you all. So I invite all of you now to come forward for our ritual of joys and sorrows. You may take whichever stone or stones feel right to you and drop it in the bowl, connecting to others and feeling the power of being together in this community. Thank you. Thank you all for being together today. It's really something to be present with all of you and to know that while the healing bowl's empty, all of the healing stones are in there. So to know that even in our struggles and our need for healing, that there's still so much joy going around the room when you are sitting together and being with one another. So thank you all for that. That's a blessing. Thank you. So here we are, gathered back in this friendly neighborhood between the beautiful tall pines. We are a community of people who have arrived from many different paths, yet we seek a common goal: to bring more love to a hurting but beautiful world. As Unitarian Universalists, we aspire to reach this goal through our shared values, one of which is the value of generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. This we can only do together, and your monetary gifts are essential to supporting our endeavor. Before we pass the plates, I want to remind you that today's offering is being shared with the Communications Committee. Jen, would you like to say something about that? Thank you. We will be patient as you come forward.
Hi, I am Jen. My pronouns are she and her. My daughter is back there raving that I'm up here. I'm speaking on behalf of the Communications Committee today. We are doing the Share the Plate because we have a $0 budget, and we would like to have a little bit of a budget. What we want to use the budget for is basically advertising and getting us more well-known in the community. The main thing I've been starting with is Facebook, because we already have a page on Facebook. And I was looking into it as I was doing some posting over the holidays. And $5 gets us 1 day ad, so $25 gets us a 5-day ad. Something that would be really good to be able to post would be the Twisted Pines concert, to advertise that, because that would hopefully bring more people in, and that's a fundraiser for our church. So just consider that when the plate is being passed, that part of the money, or half, I think it's half of the cash in the plate will go to the Communications Committee, and we'll be able to get our name out there a little bit more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jen. The ushers will now pass the plates.
Share. Me. You're good. I kind of whispered the first time.
Hi again. So I've been listening to a lot of Dungeons and Dragons lately, mainly campaigns from Dimension 20. If you have not listened to it, you totally should. But it all started with an adventure with a group of high school kids who must save the world from doom, as most D&D campaigns start, from what I understand so far. And in that group of intrepid heroes is a character named Kristen Applebee's, someone who is searching for answers in their life related to their religion, their sexuality, and growing up in general. I have connected so strongly with their story, and it has helped me immensely in finding my way on my own journey. And this got me thinking about how all of life is about stories. As we live our stories, they interact and intertwine with others that come into contact with us. Our experiences are what shape us, and our experiences are what guide us. Today we are going to hear a story from one of our members. This story is an example of how our experiences can prepare us for what's to come. In this instance, a life of civil resistance. For me, civil resistance is about living my life as openly and loudly as I can. But today's service isn't just about my journey. If y'all have been here a while, you've heard a lot about my journey. I can take a seat now. But as you take in the service this week, I want you to also think about what civil resistance means to you, and in what ways can you choose to live out loud.
Hi, everyone. Love you too. So, as a lot of you know, public speaking is one of my greatest fears. So it will be a miracle if I can actually get through reading all of this. Part of that is I have been conditioned to be quiet in some way or another for a large part of my life. A few times when I was younger, I was encouraged to, speak up and be myself. But then that was followed with, no, not like that. As an undiagnosed autistic child, I often found myself saying the wrong thing, and I would experience consequences without actually understanding why. So my solution was to talk less. I became a pleasure to have in class, and I spent most of the day being seen and not heard. I was silent on the outside, but the inside of my head sounded like a busy subway station. When I was 9 years old, I received a Christmas present that changed my life. It was a Little Mermaid journal, and it had a teal and purple cover and a shiny gold lock with a set of little golden keys. I could write everything down and safely lock it away, so I could sort out my thoughts in private instead of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. I could write out my feelings if my teacher yelled at me or if I had an argument with my stepsister, so I could stay quiet when I needed to. I finally had an outlet for my emotions that didn't cause more problems. A formative memory of mine is the day I got off of the bus and put down my backpack and I saw my father sitting on the sofa with his hand on a newspaper on the coffee table. He leaned toward me with a grave look on his face, and he said, "I need you to explain this." With a flourish, he lifted the newspaper out of the way to reveal something underneath. It was my journal. With the cover spread open, with the pages down, the delicate gold lock busted in half. Tears welled up and spilled down my cheeks onto my navy blue uniform jumper, while my father and stepmother scolded me for complaining about them, for writing swear words, some of which I had misspelled because they were new to me, and for having a crush on someone in my class. Swearing, crushes, and not honoring your parents were all forbidden in our deeply religious household. My sentence was grounding for 2 weeks, writing a 1-page essay about each parent and their positive qualities, and no more writing in journals. The no journals rule was one that I tried every way to get around. I would hide them under my mattress or inside boxes in my closet or underneath my dresser. I would keep them in my locker during the school year and then bring them home in the summer. My stepmother would often confront me if I wrote anything negative about her. Several times she took it upon herself to write corrections in my journals, crossing out what I had written and writing in red pen her version of events instead, usually taking up several pages describing how I could be a godlier and more respectable child. Sometimes my journals would be confiscated afterwards, and sometimes she would wait for my change in demeanor from bored to anxious to know that I had found her essays, so she could say, "See, I can write my feelings too." After my father passed away in a work accident, our grief counselor recommended writing as a coping skill. The counselor told my stepmom to not read my journals. I thought it was safe to write again. So I wrote through my grief. My questioning, my anger at God, my sadness and fear for the future without my father in it. I also wrote about my anger at my stepmother's new boyfriend, staying at our house just 3 months after my father's burial. And my stepmother resumed reading my journals, and the punishments became increasingly more physical. At one point, I showed a relative a handprint bruise on my leg, and that wasn't enough to stop it. The last time my stepmother read my journal, I walked in on her sitting on my bed, flipping through the pages, and I cried and I told her to stop, and that it was an invasion of privacy and it didn't affect her, but she didn't look up or respond. Finally, she asked me where I wanted to live instead, because I clearly wasn't happy with her and her new boyfriend. But it wasn't a question. It was a decision she already made. A few weeks later, I returned from a church youth retreat, and my aunt came to pick me up instead of my stepmother. All of my belongings had been moved to her home while I was away. And that's how writing and using my voice even in private got me kicked out at 14. The silencing was more subtle after I moved in with my aunt and uncle, but I quickly found out that my voice was celebrated if I used it to agree with them, but was punished for disagreeing, questioning, or trying to set boundaries. That is something I could delve into in another message, maybe on unhealthy family systems, but not today. Over time, I learned to bite my tongue and take deep breaths while I heard my family say things that made me physically sick, that they would later deny depending on who was around. They would say words about immigrants and walls, words about the poor and bootstraps, even though we were no stranger to the bankruptcy process. Words about the why of the Pulse shooting. Words about women's roles and submission to men. Words all enacting psychological gymnastics of how a loving God had lovingly constructed an eternal torment for anyone different from our family. And I wanted my family to love me back, but I was afraid that they wouldn't because being queer, I definitely fell into the anyone different category. So I spent decades gaslighting myself, walking on eggshells and trying to understand their perspective in hopes that one day I could be open with them. You're probably wondering what all of this has to do with civil resistance. And to me, everything. Civil resistance begins with finding our voice, both individually and collectively. It begins with being seen and heard rather than making yourself quiet and convenient. It involves questioning why someone would want to take a look at your private life and then make judgments about it. Spoiler, there's always someone profiting at the top of a pyramid when we're pitted against one another. Civil resistance begins with questioning rules that serve no purpose other than to silence us. Then finding ways around those rules, like hiding journals under your dresser, or even planning strategic disobedience to them, provided that you aren't harming anyone. Erica Chenoweth in Civil Resistance, What Everyone Needs to Know, writes that governments that have to use violence to compel cooperation and obedience reveal the fact that citizens wouldn't choose to obey of their own volition. This means that by the time they use force, they've already lost something. When society becomes fully aware of a government that is more focused on controlling them than serving them, something changes. We realize that even though the systems, legal, educational, for-profit medical, etc., treat us like we're worthless, these systems and institutions would crumble without us. We are the only value in these systems. Continuing to participate in a system designed to hurt us is similar to continuing to play a game with a petulant child who keeps changing the rules at our expense. Chenoweth writes, no oppressive system is monolithic. Whether it's a dictatorship, a foreign military occupation, or an unjust economic system, every oppressive system leans on the cooperation and acquiescence of the people involved. They go on to say, governments rely on civil servants, military and intelligence officials, taxpayers, foreign allies, but governments aren't the only organization that can't function without daily cooperations from their supporters. Companies rely on employees, universities rely on custodial staff, security guards, students, administrators. And broader systems of oppression like white supremacy, patriarchy, homophobia, they rely on ideological beliefs or justification, the people who perpetuate these ideas, institutions, and those that cooperate and enshrine these systems. I think this means that these systems are made up by people just like us, who either feel powerless to change it or who are conditioned to believe that a system is just fine the way it is. The latter is usually related to being part of like a high control religious or social system that discourages questioning and discourages information from outside sources. That's why it's important for us to focus on interpersonal connections and our shared goals that unite us rather than what separates us. Another thing that Chenoweth says is numerous practitioners and philosophers of resistance have recognized that when people collectively refuse to consent or obey status quo systems, they can make radical demands of those with institutional power, including scrapping the existing system and replacing it with something else. Civil resistance involves stepping away from these oppressive systems in the form of maybe boycotts or strikes. It involves creating alternatives, complete alternatives to the system by building community. It might look like compiling a safe list of medical providers for at-risk populations that need specific types of treatment. It might look like communities pooling funding and skill sets to serve those in need. It could also look like shopping at places that don't benefit our greedy corporate overlords, which is easier said than done. We are stronger than we think, and we should consider who has benefited from us not realizing that. So what does finding our voice and strengthening our community look like? For me, I found my voice in the love of this congregation. The understanding, acceptance, kindness, and dignity I was given when I found you all, it changed my entire life. When you're trained in the mindset that love and worth is something conditional and based on adherence to a belief system, and that your very existence is a burden, hearing someone say, "You are loved, you are worthy, you are a blessing," shakes everything up. I heard Heather say that at the end of the first message I watched online, and again when I visited in person. And there were no qualifying statements. There were no if-then equations of if you do this, then God will love you. If you do this, you will be worth something. Nothing. And it baffled me and it kept me coming back. You're loved, worthy, you're a blessing. After every service, I would scurry out of the building like a bird with a French fry. Holding on to that phrase like it was something I pilfered when the rightful owner wasn't looking. It didn't undo all of the toxic religious programming in a single day, but it started to unravel the sense of worthlessness and shame that had been woven into my identity. Finding community here, it gave me the courage to start writing again, to explore my faith, and most recently, to come out as queer to my extremely conservative family. Thank you. When we have a healthy support network of people who accept us as we are, it can make us brave enough to speak up for ourselves and others because we know we can weather the consequences. Zora Neale Hurston said, "If you are silent about your pain, they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it." We should not be silent about our pain. And we should not make it easier for oppressive systems to wield destructive influence. We will not hold our tongues for the sake of being nice. Kind and nice are not the same. And letting people suffer and die, be it from gun violence, police brutality, lack of medical care, or ongoing genocide, it isn't kind, so I may need to be impolite. According to Chenoweth, the term civil does not necessarily mean friendly, respectful, or polite, and on the contrary, scholars typically classify interruption or rude gestures or turning one's back or heckling, shaming. These are classified as non-violent behaviors that, when used in combination with other methods, can impose costs on their opponents. This is something that I personally struggle with because it was figuratively and literally beaten into me that I should not be inconvenient. I should always be polite, and I should not offend anyone, even in my own private thoughts in my childhood journal. So my first step in civil resistance is taking up space as myself. Being seen and heard as a bisexual, autistic, childless, disabled, pagan yet Christian, liberal human being. And all of those punishments to make me obedient, polite, and quiet, they didn't fucking work. I love you guys.
I knew she could do it. Jenny?
Although I've come to talk about D&D again. So meditation's going to be a little different this time. As we know, it can't be a Jenny Warren service without some meditation time. I found a lovely, amazing song, probably literally the day after the election. And God, I listened to it on repeat for a good 3 days to just kind of get me through everything. And that's what we're going to play during the meditation today. But in the campaign finale of A Court of Fay and Flowers, Major K.P. Hobbs is speaking with Delosa de la Rue about honor. He tells them, honor means something deep and profound. It is the pursuit of what is right when circumstances are against you. It is the doing of what is good and noble when the world conspires to prevent you from it. When I heard this quote, this week's service immediately came to mind. It is up to us to act honorably in the coming years. But as Nikki said, that does not mean that we have to be polite. Honorably does not always mean to act in accordance with what is appropriate with society. Acting honorably often means going against society. Acting honorably means fighting for those around us who need it the most. It's about finding your own voice, and it is up to us to have the courage to rise up for the marginalized communities that surround us and make this nation beautiful. It is up to us to act honorably.
Living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains, and silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains, and I'll rise up. I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. And we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, we'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I will rise 1,000 times again, and we'll rise up. I like the waves. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.
May the truth that makes us free and the hope that never dies and the love that casts out all fear lead us forward together till the day breaks and the shadows flee away. Let us sing it into being together now, our closing song, 291. Can you pronounce that for me, please?
Die Gedanken sind frei. Die Gedanken sind frei.
And we actually did some research on this. Thank you, Justin Neal, especially if you're watching. That this was a song that they played in the bars in the 30s and 40s in Germany as a resistance to the Nazi Party.
And the tune goes like this.
Please join me as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world.
So go out into the world, take up space, use your voice, and remember you are loved, you are worthy, and you are a blessing.